This is my 2019 all-electric Hyundai Kona. And it wasn't clickbait. In my hand, I'm holding 2 dealer invoice quotes for over $10,000 worth of repair to this car. Now, not only does the major cost of these repairs have absolutely nothing to do with this is an electric vehicle, it also has nothing to do with who built the vehicle. This is the same problem you're going to run into with any manufacturer nowadays with new cars, and it comes back to the dealers. The dealers no longer have the ability to actually fix the problem. They just change parts until the problem is solved. And that's what happened here. Let me try and dig into this as quick as I can, because I could go on for a half an hour breaking this whole video down. I'm going to try and do it as fast as I can. About a year and a half ago, the equivalent of the check engine light come on in the car, telling me there's an active code fault in the car. Plugged my scanner into it, pulled the code, and it came up with these 2 codes. I'll put them next to me here. Auxiliary coolant valves 2 and 3 open when commanded close is what those codes mean. Car's got a couple extra coolant valves in it that are 12-volt powered. They're a normally open valve. When the power's off, they open up naturally, and when power's applied, they close. And when the car turns on, it wants to close those valves. They weren't closing. Well, with some help of a Hyundai service tech who's a member of the Kona EV forum on Facebook, he pulled me the diagram, and I'll put that over here. Both valves are fed with a common 12-volt supply off the primary battery of the car down below. So because both of those valves have the same 12-volt supply, clearly there's something wrong with that supply or just the wire for it. So into the dealer, showed them that information. Of course, you know, they want to do their own diagnostic. They came out with the same problem. And what they found was on the primary battery of the car, there's a 12-volt line that comes off it. Ironically, it's actually fed from the 12-volt battery of the car and the 12-volt power converter. So it actually doesn't come from the main battery itself. It just loops through there. And there was a broken wire on it. A little bit of corrosion had broken. Now, and I will not name the dealer, but this is why I will not deal with that dealer anymore. They told me the issue was they couldn't fix the broken wire because the wire was too short, and they're not allowed to splice in a patch. Okay, sure, I'll believe that. Well, here's where the quotes get wild. So you need a new wiring harness. New harness was $1,200, 11 weeks delivery, and 17 hours to replace it because it comes off the primary battery down below, up and goes all around under the hood area. Total quote before taxes and other shop expenses was $4,400. Throw taxes and stuff on that, and the warning that because the car, you know, at the time was almost 5 years old, had 200,000+ kilometers on it, so it was well out of warranty. They couldn't guarantee they wouldn't break other connectors under the hood changing parts around. So this $5,000 repair could easily balloon to $5,500 to $6,000 to $7,000 if they broke other connectors requiring those components to be replaced. So after speaking with a service manager on it, he's like, you know what? The valves fail open normally. The worst thing's going to happen is, you know, the battery system might run a little cooler and reduce your range. So, you know, if you don't want to fix it, you just got to deal with the light. Okay, so fine by me, great. And truthfully, I drove it one winter like that. I didn't see any reduction in range at all or any difference in the performance of the vehicle. Almost makes me wonder, maybe those valves don't need to be there. The system can run all the time without issues. Now, everything worked fine until about 6 months ago. I come out of the house one morning, got ready to go to work. Unplugged the car, and the car only charged to 87%. Now, I charge the car to 100% every time, and I know people are probably going to put something in the comments saying, you don't know, no, don't do that. Trust me, I'm going to make a whole different video on that. In this car, or this model specifically, it's better to charge to 100%. It's healthier for the system, and I'm going to make a video explaining all that. So tune in to watch that. Should be ready here in a couple weeks. Anyways, tried a couple different chargers, same problem. The car would not charge. Plugged the scanner in again, pulled the code, and I had an onboard charger fault. Now, people may not realize it. If you're charging an EV off of a household current like 120, you know, 240, 220, whatever you want to call it, that's an AC voltage that comes into the car, and inside the car there is a battery charger, like the little portable 12-volt one you might have in your garage, but it takes that AC current and converts it to 400 volts DC to charge the battery. Some cars it converts at 800, but in mine it's 400. Now that doesn't stay the same for using the big fast chargers. No, those do charge directly to the battery, and that's why they're able to go so much faster. Anyways, yeah, onboard charger fault. Okay, well, I went to a fast charger and that worked fine. Great, no problem. So I was able to charge the car up and keep driving without any issues. Made an appointment with the dealer, took it in, and that's where number 2 repair bill shows up. However, they said, we're 99% certain it's not a problem with the charger, even though that's what the alarm code says. We feel it's the broken wiring harness causing the charger to shut down when it's not supposed to. Well, I said, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I've been like that for over a year. I've put, well, at this time now, I've put an additional 70,000 kilometers on the car at least. It's almost approaching 300,000 at this time. And they're like, no, we're like 99% certain, fix that problem. I said, well, you know, but that's $5,000 worth of repairs they're talking on that wiring harness. And the service advisor says, yeah. He says, well, you know, like I said, the charger's like $3,200. However, because my car is an early model Kona Electric, the cooling system in the car uses just a regular green glycol antifreeze coolant, you know, a 50-50 mix with demineralized water. Which, to change that system, it takes about 14 liters. To change the coolant, you're looking at about 50 bucks in fluid and stuff to do it. Hyundai has since come out with a new style battery coolant they want to use, and it's $75 a liter. And I need 14 liters. Like that's like, we're talking, you know, $900, almost $1,000 in that. And the best part is, it's normally a 3-hour coolant change on these cars, but because they have to swap from the old style coolant to the new style coolant, that's 2 hours extra, and the book says we need to use 4 more liters of coolant to do that. Well, just that swap alone is over $2,500, and it's not mandatory. The car has gone perfectly fine for nearly 300,000 kilometers running the green glycol based coolant, but because Hyundai advises that when the vehicles come in for service, they advise you to switch to the new coolant, and the dealer was saying they will not do the repair without you that coolant. So now we're talking $2,500 for this coolant swap, $3,200 for the battery charger, and 5 hours to replace that. It basically almost 200 bucks an hour, so call it another $1,000 on that. So that's 42. We're pushing almost $7,000 actually for the battery charger from a dealer because of all this extra stuff that Hyundai says you have to do. Well, I kept driving the car because I can fast charge, so it's not a big deal. And my wife and I are talking, we're really scratching our heads. It's like, well, this is becoming a pain because I'm having to stop and fast charge all the time, and fast chargers are, you know, they are more expensive. I'm charging at home, it costs me, you know, a couple dollars a night to charge, where the fast charger's like $10-12 a day, which, you know, we're back to almost, you know, spending the price of gas to keep the car going. So I got on my owners group again on Facebook and just threw it out there and said, guys, anybody know a good third-party, out-of-warranty EV repair center in Ontario? Like I live in Southern Ontario. I'm halfway between Ottawa and Toronto sort of deal, so I can travel. Somebody come on and said, have you called Shift EV in Oakville? Now, Oakville is a suburb just on the west side of Toronto, almost to the Burlington area, you know, Hamilton region. No, I looked them up online. They seem to be more of a Tesla dealer, but whatever, you know, or Tesla service center. And I sent them an email. Sent them the 2 letters, or to the 2 quotes from Hyundai, sent them all the codes, broke it down, said, here's what's going on with it. What do you think you can do? And one of their lead service techs got back to me same day basically and says, you know what? He says, not 100% sure, you know, hard to tell. Your description was good. I think we've got an idea. If you want, come on down and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so I loaded up, and you know, it's a 2-hour plus drive down there. Went down on a Friday. They put the car up in the air, and service guy come back out less than, you know, half hour, 45 minutes later, and he had the bottom pan off the car and into this wiring harness. And he took me in and showed me. And this is where I got upset with the first dealer, because they lied to me. There was all kinds of wire there. There was not an issue with not enough wire. The problem is the pin the wire broke off of. Hyundai does not make that pin available to their service departments or their customers. The service guy, Shift EV, within 25 minutes found me the pin online. Now, unfortunately, there is no North American providers for this part, So we had to buy it off of Alibaba. You ever heard of that site? It's kind of like a Pacific Rim Asian market, eBay/Amazon. And I had to buy 100 pins. Well, the pins were 8 cents a piece. So it cost me $8 for 100 pins. And because I had never shopped with them before, I got free shipping. So 3 weeks later, this pin shows up in the mail. I call my buddies at Shift EV back, take the car back up. Less than 45 minutes, the car is in the air. He's fixed the wiring problem on this broken pin. The car is back down, put back together, and the alarm is gone. They charged me $98 to fix that broken pin, plus the 8 cents. The dealer quoting me almost $5,000 to change a whole wiring harness for an 8-cent pin that took less than 45 minutes to fix. This is what I'm saying, is this is why, for an out of warranty vehicle, don't run right to your dealer and just give them whatever they want. Look around, find a good third-party shop, and have them assess the problem. Because, like I say, $5,000 for less than $100 fix. Now, unfortunately, guess what? The broken wire did not fix the charger, unlike the other Hyundai dealer said, you know, they're 1% chance they were going to be wrong, and they were wrong. Now, I did find a used charger from a salvage yard in BC. They charged me $1,200, which included shipping, which truthfully, you know, it was the new parts over $3,000. I thought, you know, that's a pretty good deal. The car was a rear end collision, had less than 25,000 K on it, so there was no issues with worrying about the charger. However, when the charger showed up at the house, a 35-foot Dan Ross transport truck showed up with a power lift gate. And not only did they have the charger on board, the salvage yards sold me the entire underhood engine assembly or motor assembly for the car. I had the onboard charger, I had the inverter, I had the motor itself as well, and the high voltage relay box, which helps turn the car on and off, which I know several people have actually had problems with those things. And those parts alone for that piece is a $4,000 part from Hyundai. I got $6,000 to $7,000 worth of used parts for $1,200 and included shipping. Perfect, right? Why not? 45 minutes, I pulled the charger off of the new used part to me from the salvage yard in BC, back to Oakville on my next available day off. And now it did take them a little longer to do that. That was about, their book said 4 hours, the Hyundai's book said 5. They did it about 3, and I had them do a coolant replacement for me because the coolant, you know, is good for like 250-ish thousand kilometers or whatever it was. So I was pretty much over that. I went to Hyundai and bought 2 jugs of their regular green glycol coolant, which was approved for this vehicle when it was built. A couple jugs of demineralized water. Cost me $45, I think, is all I paid for the whole thing. Maybe it was closer to 50. Took that with me. They did the flush in and out. About $800 in labor in total, because I was there a little over 4 hours. So the second fix that Hyundai wanted nearly $6,000 plus for ended up costing me in the long run right around $2,000, which was pretty reasonable. I have no problem paying that. But on the upside, I've got a complete motor assembly now sitting in my garage with spare parts. I can strip parts off that, I can put them online, I can sell them, or I can keep them should I need something else. So yeah, I hope I haven't gone on too long about this. The moral of the story, regardless of the vehicle you drive, gas, hybrid, diesel, full EV, once the warranty is done, find yourself a good, independently owned third-party shop and have them look at a repair before you pay a dealer to do anything. Dealer wanted, well, probably closer to $12,000 to fix my car. I fixed it for like $2,200-ish tops, and I've got thousands of dollars worth of spare parts. If I wanted to sell these online, I could probably pay for the entire repair of the car, and the car's still good to go. Anyways, in closing, I appreciate it if you watched it. Thank you if you hung around this long. I know this is longer. I could have made this video like probably 45 minutes long, getting into all the diagnostic I did and some other troubleshooting codes, but I didn't think that was important right now. But like I said, I do have some more EV videos coming out on this. Like I said, the car is well over, it's like 310,000 kilometers on it now. I've had it 5.5 years. I still love driving this car. The battery, because I guess anybody that was not fan of electric vehicles, they're probably not hanging around any longer. The battery is still at 96.4% state of health of original capacity. So if you want to see some more videos about the EV, especially breaking down why I charge to 100%, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. See you next time.